We are going to learn some new tricks today, guys.
Mhm.
Hi there. I'm Julie Brooks, juliebrooks.life, and this is Real Talk, where we talk about possibly some of the misnomers in the health and wellness world. And I often have guests that have done something maybe pretty intriguing with their own health or their community or their family. But today we've got something very different for you. Have you ever heard of a CDRE? I had not. So, this is a certified divorce real estate expert. And what does that have to do with health? Well, as we all know, a big part of health is our stress levels. And divorce is just a factor. Well, the factor for more than 50% of us, like much more than 50% of us, the statistics are. And I'm sure our good friend Lori is going to tell us more about that. So we need to have different professionals in place to help us through all of these challenging times. So 100% of her business is divorced people, which I find super fascinating. Lori became a realtor in North and South Carolina in 2017. In 2021, she expanded her expertise to become a CDRE, which again, we'll hear much more about very soon. Since completing this certification, she has focused her real estate business primarily on helping individuals, or exclusively, that are going through divorce and they need to sell their marital home. It's always a tough one. In 2024, she increased her knowledge in divorce real estate by completing the collaborative divorce training. This training allows her to work as a trained allied professional alongside of collaborative divorce attorneys and with their clients, which that is so cool. Like I had no idea that this is something that existed in our world. In 2025, she began a podcast, which I was grateful to be a guest on. It's called Dodging Divorce Disasters, and we'll leave that link in the comments so you guys can go check that out. She interviews experts from all fields of divorce, including family law attorneys, CDFAs, we'll find out what that is, forensic accountants, divorce coaches, private investigators. That would be a cool interview, to name just a few. Any professional that could possibly touch the world of divorce. She also volunteers as a presenter and leader for the Second Saturday, which is a local event in North Carolina. I believe it's in Cornelius, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a free divorce workshop for women who are either going through divorces, or I would imagine you can go and kind of dip your toe in that one. It's the second Saturday of every month at the LKN Chamber of Commerce. So, without further ado, Lori Hawkins, welcome.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on your podcast. You were a great guest on Dodging Divorce Disasters, and not for my sake, but to hear what she has to say. She gave such great information. So thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
I was so grateful, and I can't wait to dig into. I'm not even sure where we need to dig into because this is such a an unknown um, piece of the world to me, and I've been divorced. But what's interesting is for real estate, you just assume, okay, I'm going to go talk to a realtor that, maybe I've met for coffee, or I think they have a nice smile. I've seen them on social media. And
Right.
what is the difference between somebody like yourself with all the extra credentials and just using a normal realtor that you just find in the marketplace?
Yeah, that is such a great question. And really, that's what I am out educating people on. I have been doing this, like you said, since 2021. I primarily work with the family law community, but of course, if anyone is thinking about going through a divorce, they can reach out to me. And honestly, they can reach out to me even if they just have questions. You don't have to hire me to sell your home because selling a house through a divorce is so much different than selling a house just traditionally. And they do not teach us this stuff in real estate school. There are rules and regulations and things like that when you are going through a divorce. There's court orders. Before I became a CDRE and was just doing traditional real estate, I did help a couple people that were selling a home through a divorce. I mean, is it possible to do? Yes. Um, When the people are amicable, is it much easier? Yes. Because never once did it ever occur to me to say, is there a domestic violence order or a restraining order? I didn't think about doing that. I never asked to see the court order, the consent order, the separation agreement, whichever one you have. I never asked to see that, in which the judge, they have agreed, to do certain things. There's timelines. I just have a lot of systems and procedures in place that I've been trained to do. It's not things that I came up with myself, that I've been trained to do that just helps the process. It helps mitigate conflict. The way I communicate is so differently than a traditional realtor. I mean, when I was selling residential real estate, I probably knew the dog's birthday and sent him a birthday card because you are there to nurture that relationship because you want them coming back to you. If you help them buy a house, you want them to come back to help you sell the house and buy the next house. I am transactional. I am there just to list it. I cannot help either one of the people that are going through a divorce. I cannot help either one of them buy a house. I cannot bring a buyer to the house. I am simply there to list, and that keeps me as a neutral third party.
Ooh, see, that is not what I was expecting your answer to be. I actually was thinking, oh, you have to be trained in how to work with these people because I've seen it. I've seen divorce real estate, and it's like the husband agrees on something, the wife doesn't, and it's like just arguments and all that back and forth stuff. So, wow, I that blows my mind a little bit because I love that. That just makes so much sense. We not only do we need people that are like the counselor type and that can like nurture you through things and know the dog's birthday, like you said, but we also need people that are like, this is just a factual situation that we're going through here, and we're going
Right.
to go by the rules of law because we have to,
Right.
and it's not. I'm not going to ignore the fact that there's a divorce here. Sorry, my mind is like literally blown. That's fascinating to me. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. Um, Now, as I mentioned, you do have a podcast.
Yeah.
What prompted you to start that podcast, and how has it been going?
Well, several things. Okay, I love doing it. I really, really love doing it. But several things prompted it. One, I am a part of, Second Saturday, as you mentioned in my bio, and I would hear time after time after time because it is expensive to get divorced. And it's not just expensive just hiring the lawyers, but you really have to make sure you pick the right attorney. And every attorney practices law differently. Now they all do the law, they all abide by the law, but their style is different. Just like
Mhm.
what you were talking about with collaborative, there's mediation, there's litigation, there's arbitration. There is so many different venues, lanes that you can go in to become divorced. I didn't know this. I've been divorced. I didn't realize this when I was going through my divorces. And in Second Saturday, I would, this would be said. I need to know the answers to this, but I can't afford to go talk. I can't afford to pay four, five, $600 an hour for a consultation to see which attorney works best for me. So
Right.
this was kind of stuck in my mind. And then that's one layer. And then in all of these mom groups on Facebook, I would see people, that's where we tend in this day and age, we tend to go to social media to get our guidance and direction. And the things that are said, the advice that's given in the divorce realm, in these mom groups, so many times are going to lead people into some type of divorce disaster because just because one attorney was good for you, it may not be good for another person. They may have totally different issues. Every divorce is different. And you need to find the attorney that kind of concentrates where you need. You need to find if your personalities click or not, because you're going to be
Mm.
spending a lot of time with this person and paying this person a lot of money. So you want to make sure you're getting back what you feel like your money is paying in. And I thought, man, there ought to just be a place that somebody could go. I mean, honestly, this is what went through my head, that somebody could go and you could just hear all these different attorneys and CDFAs, which are certified divorce financial analysts, divorce coaches, private investigators, because I mean, the health going through, and the hypnosis part of it was fascinating. There are so many areas that cause us to get to the finality of a divorce, and it takes a team to get you there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. So that's where dodging divorce disasters came from. I just started reaching out, and people were like, "Yes." I had family law attorneys like crazy going, "Yes, let me be a guest." And it's just 30-minute little episodes that there is so much good information for free from these attorneys. Everybody, you CDFAs, nuggets of gold um, that will help you dodge a divorce disaster because you know now to do it a different way.
That is amazing. Like I just love that. I love there should be a place where this can happen. Oh, maybe I'll make it. I think that that's fabulous. And there's so much in what you just said that I would love to to kind of unpack, but we won't do that in the essence of time. But what I will say, because there will be moms watching this, I have the same experience in the moms groups. And I think the moms groups are great. I love the camaraderie. I love the that they can support each other. But just like in divorce, in health and wellness, you have somebody, I see it at least once a day, every single day. This is my situation. I'm not sure what to do. And then all these moms just trying to help pile on with what they do, which sometimes that's not even healthy. And it's definitely not what some would be prescribed. As a practitioner, it would be such a horrible thing for me to suggest something off of a Facebook post, and yet it's done every day, all day. So 100% on board with that. I love, love, love what you're doing. As I mentioned, we will have Dodging Divorce Disasters in the show notes, and I'm just going to promote the heck out of it because like you have opened my eyes and ears immensely today. Um, this is a health and wellness podcast. So I just have a question for you, and we're probably throwing you a little bit under the bus here, but do you have a favorite form of self-care that you do that just helps you get through the rough days?
Yeah. Mine is probably very simple. I went through breast cancer back in 2021, I believe, and wound up, even though it was caught very early, and I'm very thankful for that, just for preventative reasons. I wound up having a double mastectomy, and which changed my life in so many ways. I know the ways that people think, but it also changed my whole health journey. I became much more aware of what I was putting in my mouth, the lotions that I was rubbing on my skin. I started doing a deep dive, and just started making very small changes. And really, the primary reason was to get my lab numbers back in line because I was pre-diabetic. There were a lot of things. There were a lot of things wrong with me. And I just started making some small changes, started learning more about functional medicine, things like that. And it really changed my life. I mean, I wound up losing over 100 pounds as a result of it. Not that wasn't my intention, but of course, when you start treating your body better, it just reacts. So I wound up doing that. But honestly, my ground is always my devotions in the morning. That is really my self-care. If I don't do anything else all day, I'm going to make sure I get up in time to spend some time with Jesus, as far as I'm concerned, where my opinion. Um, that's what grounds me. That's what my self-care is. And that's what gets me through the day and gets me through my life, to be honest. So that would be my self-care. I would love to say that it was exercising every day and all of that good stuff. And I do try to do that because I did buy a rebounder and I am doing rebounding, but I'm not as diligent about that as I am my Bible, my Bible devotion in the morning.
Some would argue that you have that in the right direction. You know, it's nice if we can bring all the health and wellness. I love what you said about after having the double mastectomy and going through the cancer in general, that you started paying attention to more of what you're putting on your body and that kind of thing and what you're eating. Everything that we put on and in our body is information for our body. And we don't look at it that way, or at least most people don't look at it that way. And once you do start looking at it that way, like, oh, what am I telling my body by eating this? What am I telling my body by wearing this? You make a lot better decisions. And I just, you know, what a blessing that you took that away. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I do want to step back to your profession for just one moment and ask, because you became a realtor in 2017. So what brought you to real estate in the first place and what keeps you here?
That's a really good question. I was a stay-at-home mom. I have an accounting degree and worked in accounting until my ex-husband and I decided to have kids. We both decided that I was going to stay home with the kids, which was a blessing. I never loved accounting. It wasn't like a true love of mine. So when my ex-husband and I, when we actually divorced, I knew I needed to go back to work. I did not want to go back into accounting. And I had always had a love of real estate, decorating, the whole nine yards. And a friend of mine had mentioned to me, at that time I lived in South Carolina, and that's where I got my first license. And then the next month I got my North Carolina because I'm from North Carolina, so I knew I'd have friends and family. And so that's kind of what got me there was my divorce kind of forced me back into the workplace. What has kept me here, honestly, is doing the divorce real estate. And there are times divorce real estate is not for the faint of heart. I had developed a thick skin very early on, and I had to realize not to take anything personally because I am very much an easy punching bag. A lot
Mm.
of times they are not speaking to each other, and I'm an easy target. They say to me what they wish they could say to the other one when it pertains to the home. And once I am brought on board, I become the liaison between the two individuals. So they no longer have to discuss anything to do with the home. It all comes through me. But sometimes at night, I'm like, why in the world did I choose to do divorce real estate? But then I really do feel like I make a difference. They are going through this. And in my small way, I am making it a little less stressful. My systems and procedures are very direct. They always know what's going on. Even the person that's no longer living in the house is well communicated with. And there has not been a case that I have not been able to get them to the closing table. So it may be difficult on me, but I think my involvement makes it less difficult for them.
Amazing. So round about this time, I tend to ask, what would the child version of you think of the woman that you are today?
Oh,
And it's interesting because I can see her. I can see her. I can see her high-fiving you going like, yes, like taking control,
giving me that.
supporting people. Like I can just see how proud the little girl version is of you. But I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
I'm a crier, and you've already got me crying. That is a really good question. I am really going to cry. Um, because life has not turned out. I mean, my version of a young child, never did I think divorce was in, my future. Um, of course, nobody anticipates getting cancer. There's just been a lot of things in my life that I didn't anticipate. But I think you're right. I think the small child in me always was optimistic. She always looked at the good in people, and that's still me. So I think she thinks, you're still carrying on, you're still hanging on. Um, your faith in God hasn't wavered, and I think she would be proud of me. Yeah.
I think she's very proud of you. I can totally see her just, like I said, giving you a high five, going, yes, like, way to go. This is such an interesting way to help people to take real estate and turn it into something so valuable. And not that real estate isn't valuable, but arguably a lot of people work with investors and it's like it's just about money. This is
Mhm.
not about money. This is about the welfare of a family. And the better you can make it for that couple, the better it is for the family in general. So I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do immensely. And I am so grateful that you came to talk to me today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it too. This has been a pleasure, and I appreciate you letting me be on today as a guest.
Absolutely. So if you guys are watching right now and this resonated with you, or you know somebody that may be going through this struggle, please don't hesitate to share this podcast or at least go click on the link below for Divorce Disasters. Maybe even join Lori for a second Saturday so you can get a little bit more information. I am so grateful for this information today. And if you have some information, maybe it's in your industry, maybe it's something that you've done personally in your own health and wellness, and you think that you'd like to share that with some other people, I would love to interview you on the show. So please reach out at juliebrooks.life. Thank you, Lori, for being here today, and of course, everyone else.